What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down why quarterbacks have arm pain. Let's get started. Now, before we get into this video, fellas, we are going to be traveling out to 8 more states across the U.S. for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver training camps. So check out that very first link in the description below. If you guys are local to Honolulu, Hawaii, Boston, Massachusetts, Cleveland, Ohio, Austin, Texas, Seattle, Washington, Newark, New Jersey, Los Angeles, California, and Denver, Colorado. If you guys would like to attend one of our off-season camps, again, very first link in the description below. We'd love to have all of you out. Our Boston and Honolulu camps are completely sold out. Rest of the camps will probably sell out within the next month. So we'd love to have you out there, fellas. Again, very first link in that description below. Let's get back to this video. All right, guys, so how this video is going to work is we're going to explain some of the main causes of arm pain, elbow pain, shoulder pain, general arm pain in quarterbacks mechanically. Then I'm going to give you guys a warm-up routine to make sure that we avoid arm pain by doing kind of like the prehab, if you will, and then some different drills that will help you guys use your hips more and use your legs more to prevent that arm pain. So first things first, guys will experience arm pain because of a flawed throwing sequence. So I'm sure everybody has heard the phrase before, oh, quarterbacks, you guys want to throw with your legs and throw with your hips. You don't want to throw all arm. And that's pretty much essentially what the throwing sequence is. The throwing sequence is broken down into 3 specific parts, okay? So the first part of the throwing sequence is, actually, I would say 4 parts. The first part of the throwing sequence is your base. So your base needs to be in a good mechanical spot to allow your hips to rotate through. So what I mean by that is your back foot needs to be underneath your hip, underneath your armpit, something where it's inside of your shoulder frame. Because when your feet are inside of your shoulder frame, that allows you to rotate better with your hips. Now, the second part of the throwing sequence is while you're in this good base, your front foot needs to get down. Now, when your front foot gets down, you need to keep your weight loaded onto this back leg, and as the front foot gets down, your shoulders need to go back. Because the second part of this throwing sequence is going to be your hips coming through before the shoulders and before the ball, and then the shoulders and the ball are the last part of the sequence. So it's base, stride, hips, and then shoulders and ball. And it needs to happen in that order to take pressure off of the arm. So the reason why guys have a lot of arm pain is because their sequence is flawed. They might, get to part 1 of it, but then the stride might be off, which causes their hips to not rotate and causes them to throw all arm. And let me explain. So there's probably I would say 3 root causes of arm pain. Number 1 is going to be an overstride. So guys will get into this they'll get in this good base, first part of the throwing sequence, back foot will be good, but what they will do is they will push off of their foot. So they will be here and they'll push like a pitcher, which will make your front stride take a long time to get down. You don't want to step to the target, you want to step towards the target. Now, when guys push, what ends up happening? Feet get wide, so can you rotate at your hips? No, you can't rotate at your hips, so what ends up happening? Your shoulders will come through before the hips do, and that is where the pressure happens on the elbow, on the shoulder, and that's why you have arm pain, because you probably have a long stride. So if that's something that you feel like you're doing, maybe that's something you correct that could take that pain away. And we're gonna give you some drills as this video goes on to correct that overstride. Now, number 2, another thing that guys will have is they'll have an overly wide base. So it's pretty much the same thing as the long stride. They'll be here, base will be wide, so they step, their hips can't rotate, so the shoulders will end up beating the hips in the throwing sequence, which again puts pressure on the elbow and puts pressure on the shoulder. Now, last but not least, what guys will do is that as the stride happens, they will not close their shoulders. So let me talk about it. Remember, throwing sequence order. We got base, we got stride, we got hips, and then shoulders come through. However, when that front stride gets down, what are your shoulders supposed to do? Supposed to slightly close, right? So that sets you up for those hips to lead the shoulders. Now, the mistake that a lot of old school quarterback coaches used to teach their guys is that when you take a step with your front foot, you should spread the chest, spread open. But here's what happens. When you strike the ground and you spread open the chest, you go here, here, now the front foot's down, but because your shoulders are coming open, even if you have a good base, even if you have a short stride, that elbow and that shoulder will lead those hips, and that is where the pressure on the arm comes from. So it comes from those 3 specific things: overstride, wide base, opening up on the sequence. So now we're going to give you guys some great drills to work on that and a great shoulder warm-up routine that will help with your arm pain coming from overuse. All right, guys, so now we're going to be talking about some great drills that will help you guys get rid of those bad habits that cause that arm pain. So now, before we get into this, fellas, like I said, we're going to be giving you guys a shoulder warm-up routine to do at the end of this video to help you guys with overuse on your arm. Because another common cause to arm pain is overuse, right? So like if you're throwing with the wrong mechanical sequence, throwing all arm over and over again, that obviously is going to cause some arm pain. But also just throwing a lot is going to cause arm pain, whether you have good mechanics or not, right? Having an efficient motion will help you throw for longer periods of time. And like, honestly, fellas, like you should be able to get 100 throws in without even feeling it with your arm. But like if you do 100 throws like back to back to back days, yeah, your arm's probably going to be a little tight. So that routine is going to be mainly for that. So now this first drill is going to help you guys correct the overstride. So literally it's a simple drill, white line here, put 2 cones, maybe about, I would say 6 inches in front of your front foot. That is about where the stride wants to be. Now you put another cone behind your front heel, because what a lot of guys will like to do, because there's really not so much such thing as like a overstride, it's wrong timing of your throwing sequence, right? Because the timing of your throwing sequence should be front stride, then hips, then shoulders. But if you have a long stride, the timing's a little off, right? You could still rotate with your shoulders, but the timing of the foot strike is off, so those shoulders will beat those hips, and not only the long stride puts you out of that mechanically efficient position, it screws up the timing of your sequence, right? Because that timing of the foot strike has to happen when those shoulders stay back, right? So because that's the case, a lot of guys, when you put cones in front of their front foot, they will step way open because it's the same timing as if you stepped long. So just make sure that you put a cone behind your heel so that doesn't happen. Again, 6 inches away. So you're going to be in a base, and all you are literally doing is just stepping and playing catch with that shortened stride. It might feel a little different, might feel a little weird, but it's going to take reps to correct that long stride habit. So that cone line and cone to the heel is one of the best drills that you guys can do to prevent that overstride. All right, guys, so again, one of the common reasons that guys will have arm pain is because the second reason that we discussed earlier in this video is the wide base. So this is a super easy drill that you guys can do to help you correct that wide throwing leg and help you guys get that back foot to be more under your hip and under your armpit. So literally is a simple warm-up drill. You're gonna need a partner to throw to. You can throw to a net. All we're gonna be doing, I call this a crossover pause. So you're gonna be starting out here, good base to start, and all we are literally doing is crossing over my front foot, planting on my back foot. You're going to pause. Your partner's going to say ball, flashes hands, whatever, and then we are going to throw. So now the reason why we do that is because when you pause on this, it forces you to get comfortable with your base. Now another thing that I like to do on this is maybe put my quarterbacks in socks and do this, because you really have a good feel of where your feet are, and we'll get to that in a second. So how the drill looks, instead, because there's so many quarterbacks that have that wide base problem, they'll go to throw left, right, and they try to throw, but that back foot gets down. Maybe they start to throw early and they're super wide, and that's why the shoulders beat the hips in the throwing sequence, because that's where the source of the pain is, right? So if you pause and don't allow yourself to throw, if you land super wide, you're going to feel it. You're going to look down and think, oh, okay, I got to get back to here now. So it forces you to build that muscle memory. You go left, right, pause. Okay, I'm under my frame. Let's think about that short stride and get my hips to be able to rotate through on the throw. So now, the reason why I like doing this sometimes in socks or even barefoot, and I'm going to show you guys right now, is because when you're in shoes and cleats, like sometimes it gives you a false sense of security, right? So if you go to socks and you're really wide, like you might slip out of there. You're going to feel it. You're going to feel where your foot is hitting the ground. You don't want to hit on that inside arch of your foot. You want to be on like the middle outside arch of your foot to get that back foot inside your frame. So being in socks really gives you a good feel of where your base is at and how you need to actually strike the ground. So that crossover pause is one of the best drills you can do to work on that wide base. All right, guys, so this next drill is going to help with that third issue that causes arm pain, which is spreading open the chest when you guys strike the ground with your front foot. So you're going to need a baseball. You could use like a weighted ball, preferably probably a baseball or a weighted ball. Use a tennis ball, honestly, anything that's smaller than a football, right? So what we are going to do is, like, obviously the issue is that when you would take a front stride with your front foot and you would open up, those shoulders would beat those hips. So when that front foot hits the grass, what are you trying to do? You're trying to rotate your shoulders back and have those shoulders stay closed, weight loaded on the back foot. So this drill with the baseball is going to help with that. So it's just a simple like hitch that you're taking. Like, let's say I'm going to the camera right here. And the rhythm of this is going to be, if you're a righty, is going to be left, right, left. And you're going to actually fully throw. But on the second left step, you go left, right, left, you're going to switch hands with the baseball. Because if you open up, you're going to drop the baseball. So it forces you to have to stay closed, but you have to switch hands on the foot strike of the front foot. So again, all it is, left, right, left, and you're gonna rotate through, nice and smooth with the arm. Left, right, left, and it forces you to, when you switch hands, to have to close that front side, which puts you on that sequence to where those hips can lead your shoulders. So I'm gonna show you how this is gonna look full speed. All right, guys, so now I'm going to take you through a great rotator cuff warm-up routine that you guys can do to help you with, honestly, just keeping your arm healthy and properly warming up your arm before an actual throwing session, because sometimes that can cause a lot of arm pain as well, not warming up properly, then coming out with bad form or doing a lot of throws, right? So if anybody has played baseball, this is probably a pretty familiar warm-up to you, but this is going to be just something called the flex tee routine. So I would say for maybe about 60 yards, you're going to do something called the flex tee walk. So all you're going to be doing, you're going to be at 90 degrees. You're going to squeeze the back of your shoulder blades together and just hold this perfect 90-degree position and walk. You're just holding it. So this should burn in your shoulder a tad, but you're just holding this 90-degree position for 60 yards. That is all we're going to be doing. Then, when you get back from your 60-yard walk, you're going to be here at 90 degrees again. This is going to loosen up the inside part of your rotator cuff. You're going to do flex T, squeeze the shoulder blades together, but you're going to turn your palms outward. So you're going to do that for about 40 reps. And then you're going to do 40 reps of turning your palm inward. So you're here at 90, flex those shoulder blades together, turn the palms inward. So just something to loosen up your rotator cuff. It should burn, and if it burns, that means you're doing it correctly, but it's just a great thing to get your shoulders nice and loose, get them ready to go before this actual throwing session. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. We always appreciate the feedback, and it is always great to hear from you guys. Again, fellas, if you'd like to train with us in 8 different states this off-season, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to have you out to one of our off-season camps. I'll see you guys next time.